Before we get into newspaper review, we'll start off with the Ghanaian Times. And on there it says, Ghana set to establish first bauxite refinery as GIADEC signs pact to manufacture aluminium products. And in the picture, we have Mr. Michael Ansa, who's seated to the left, signing an MOU with Mr. Kwesi Osei Ofori on the right. And we also have the executive director of Rockshore International, and also the president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, with some other guests. Also, death threat assault case, Reverend Owusu Bempah, 5 others, granted 200,000 Ghana cedis bail. And on the back of, the health issues with regards to Reverend Owusu Bempah. So this took place yesterday. Also, ECOWAS heads of states hold extraordinary summit in Accra to discuss political situation in Guinea. You'll find the details on page 17. You remember that there was an emergency virtual meeting that was held at the time when the coup took place in Guinea. And of course, there were some statements that were issued, one of them being the fact that Guinea had been banned from all activities with regards to ECOWAS until they are able to resolve the issue and also prepare for transition into the next government. And so we're waiting to see what's going to happen today. We're told that about 7 heads of states are expected in the country this morning. Business Finder, Ghana's economy shows strong growth prospects as Moody's S&P affirm ratings outlook. And also, Ghana receives more doses of AstraZeneca vaccines. That's on page 5. And COVID-19 measures, World Bank commits to robust recovery. You'll find that on page 17. Let's move on now to the next paper to see what the headlines would be. And by the way, this morning, we'll be speaking about WAEC and the decision that they have made to reschedule 2 papers. And also, we'll get into the conversation about the Ministry of banning the exportation of food produce to neighboring countries until we're able to store up enough. Now, Owusu Bempah breaks free 200,000 Ghana cedis bail. That's on the Daily Guide front page. National Secretariat Coordinator speaks on threats. Major General Francis Edu Amanfo is pictured on the retired. And also, government settles on Rockshore for $6 billion Nyinahini bauxite and Dufour to face Mahama. That's on page 3. And fix your mouths, find jobs. Presby moderator on page 6. Moving on to the next one. You remember that in the discussion about youth unemployment, we've been told that the reason why a lot of young people are not finding jobs is because they're very disrespectful and loud on social media. I don't know what you think about that. But Business and Financial Times brace for more floods in Kumasi as structures still occupy waterways 2 months after Housing Minister's directive. Also treats farmer hub like 1D1F to attract investors. And fintech tools, Ghana Card will improve SME access to banking, UMB CEO. Also, services rebound, sees economy grow 3.9% in Q2. And at the top, the private sector resilience, ingenuity, key to economic growth. And finally, Goil opens in Kuma Circle overpass, Kita service stations. Let's take a look at the daily graphic and what it says. ECOWAS discusses Guinea in Accra today. Busunu Daboya road repairs begin. Minister suspends road tolls. Also, shoring up revenue past tax exemption bill, according to Dr. Abdallah Ali Nakia. He is a senior lecturer at the University of Ghana School of Law, Legon. Reverend Owusu Bempah granted 200,000 Ghana cedis bail. You'll find that on page 20. And that's about it for our headlines this morning. Joining us in the studio, Mr. Kamal Dean is the Deputy Director of Communications at the NPP. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Bella.
Everything okay?
I'm okay.
Yeah?
Just returning from Wale Wale.
Okay.
And rushing to your studios this morning.
Yeah.
This morning we shall be having the 3-day adua for our departed mother, the Vice President's mom, Haja Mariama. May her soul rest in perfect peace. Amen. I believe that the clergy are seated by now in Wale Wale with him. We commiserate with the family, we commiserate with everybody, and of course, we send our deepest condolences to the Vice President and his spouse as well as the family.
Yeah.
This morning we shall have the 3-day adua.
Okay.
May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on her.
And what do I say? Amen? Okay, amen. And also, Elikem Kotoko is a member of the NDC communications team. He joins us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing as well?
I am good. I'm doing very good.
Okay.
I'm told that we are holding an ECOWAS meeting here.
Yes.
So looking forward to see what tea drinking program we'll have again.
Tea drinking?
Yeah.
There are very serious issues to discuss there's a coup in Guinea, and of course, we're hoping that the transition government will be put in place.
I'm sure you and I hope so, but you will agree with me that this same team looked on while the deposed president actually staged the coup against the constitution. So
Foreign Affairs Minister said ECOWAS intervened, tried.
Mere rhetorics, you know that. We never had anything.
Well, I remember there was, I think, a statement or so when he was trying to review the Constitution. Yeah. There was a statement by ECOWAS that was put out. I remember that pretty well. But anyway, today we're talking WAEC, and yesterday some 2 papers were rescheduled according to the examining body. These papers include physics and business management, which we're told were leaked. But of course, WAEC is refusing to address it as a leakage. They're saying that extracts of the paper were made public, and that's the reason why they had to reschedule the writing of those 2 papers. Let's quickly take a look at the story that was put together on this issue.
The head, Thirst Administration Division, George Ohene Mante, at a media briefing noted that number of irregularities had been recorded at some centers since the exams commenced on August 16. These included inside examination hall malpractices as a result of poor supervision and invigilations and snapping of question papers at some centers and posting them on various WhatsApp platforms. He noted that strict internal controls and compliance by staff to the security regulations of the council had been instituted.
A number of examination irregularities have been recorded at some centers. These include inside examination hall malpractice as a result of poor supervision and invigilation, execution of pre-arranged plans to assist candidates to cheat by solving questions and distributing solutions to the candidates.
He said some vigilators have also been stopped from providing services to WAEC and were being considered for further sanctioning.
Withdrawal of some supervisors and vigilators from providing services for the council pending further sanctioning. The council wishes to state that it remains focused on its mandate of conducting credible examinations at all levels. Despite the challenges, we are steadfast in our commitment to conduct the 2021 examinations.
On the rescheduling of the physics and business management papers, he said 11 schools across the country were being monitored closely for attempts and intents to cheat. He said the council is also scrutinizing scripts at schools where cheating have been reported and appropriate sanctions applied.
All right, and that was a report that was put together yesterday by Armstrong Gold Alogbe, and we heard from the head of council's Test Administration Division, Mr. George Ohene Mante, who works with WAEC, and he gave those details yesterday. Kamal, I'll start with you because it's not shocking that exam papers have leaked, because this is something that we have been encountering over the years, even last year. And to think that WAEC was asked about this, even in the studios, and they said there was no leakage of papers. And now we're back to this issue. Wow. And again, they're insisting that this is not a leakage. It is just extracts of some papers that have been put in the public domain, and so we should not describe it as a leakage. Well,
once again, good morning to you. Good morning to Eliclim, and of course, the viewers out there. Bella, sad situation, like you rightly put it. It's not the first time we're seeing this. It keeps occurring and reoccurring. How well are we supposed to fix it? How well are we supposed to ensure that proper thing is done to, if you like, guarantee the future of the young ones and guarantee the credibility of the results that they may be attaining after their school, as it were. I think it's something that the Ghana Education Service, Minister of Education, other stakeholders within the educational sector, as well as WAEC, are supposed to sit down and find a lasting solution to the matter. Because the danger is that if you're not careful, a time will come when after the exam, a student passes out, wants to proceed, goes to a different jurisdiction, and they say, look, we don't even have value or respect for the paper you are holding as a qualification. Well, that's the danger it's going to pose. And when that happens, the whole educational setup would be in jeopardy. So for me, I think it's better and proper that we sit now as a people and find a solution to this matter. You see, Bella, we also run a system that causes this problem out there. What system are we running? Teaching kids just to prepare themselves for examination and that ends it. The IQ level of many students is questionable. Somebody is out of the university. I'm not even talking about SHS. A degree holder. Engage the person and try to measure the IQ level of that person. It is a not. Compare that and contrast to then those days when people came out of O levels and A levels. The kind of IQ level they held. Go to the university and come out. Trust me, today that is lacking. It is because we just put people in there, try to say, hey, go through the process, come out, you have a degree, you have masters, you have this. And some even gloat over it. I have 10 masters, I have 5 masters, I have 6 masters. Meanwhile, there's nothing to show on the table, trust me. You sit with the person and the person is as empty as anything. Okay? We have somebody who is thinking scholarly, who comes out as a scholar, but yet the person has nothing to show in terms of academic laurels because the IQ level of that person is high. So it is the way we train our kids. That is why they just prepare. If it's exam, let me get the apple, go and write, pass, and come out, and I'm done.
So then, because your government also spends quite some amount on past questions for these students.
Yes.
And many people raise concerns about it, that why are we spending so much money on this when we should have been preparing the students adequately to be able to write the exams? And
procuring and securing past papers for them is also part of the preparation, as it were. You can't rule that out as well.
But if we have not resolved the issue of adequately training them so that their IQ level will be a little high, then if you're feeding them with past questions to prepare, is that not the same
That is why I am looking at the entire system. We are not discussing whether or not past questions being procured is good or is bad. We're discussing causes of some of these leakages and why people are so apprehensive to go into examination, and therefore I will do anything to pass, as it were. Point I want to make is that the training, and I'm happy, not too long ago, the Minister of Education came out to tell us that, look, they're going to pay credence or give credence to STEM. Science, technology, mathematics, engineering. And I was so happy. If indeed we have model schools of this nature in all the 16 regions, that of course would go the STEM or would go the technology, the science way, trust me, it's going to help all of us. And it's going to help our future, as it were. Korea, Japan, go to China and other places. They laid emphasis on STEM. And that is why they are where they are today. Singapore, we had independence with them, almost same year. Malaysia rather, same year. But where are they today? Go to Malaysia, go to Kuala Lumpur, look at the skyscrapers. How did they make it? How did they do it? How do we train our human capital? I think it is something we really need to visit again. I go out of Accra. Then I go to maybe, say, for example, Nantong, where I come from. Go to Zhao, or go to, say, for example, Jegong. Then see the kids lying on bare, floors to learn. And the same kid is supposed to write same exam with somebody in GIS. Ghana International School. Someone is say these schools that they pay about 63,000. Schools that they pay about 63,000.
You had to go there.
No, I'm not asking. No, there are schools that pay 63,000.
Okay, you just had to go there.
And such kids are supposed to be writing exam with same people. Of course, if those over there who are vulnerable and who, of course, do not have much, have access to some of these leakages, they will opt for it and move on. So what I want to say is that let's try as much as possible to give a level playground, get them a proper standard of education, get our kids to understand that it's not just about examination, it's about your life, prepare them well for the future, and let's move on. Look, Bella, to end, I tell you, not even just SHS, go to our universities. Trimester exam, semester exam. Trust me, some of the malpractices that go on there, you have no idea.
But is that also because, again, back to the issue of WASI, because WAEC is failing to admit that it's a leakage, and that's where the problem is. What is MOE doing about it? What is GES doing about it? Because it looks as if WAEC is allowed to just go out there and say what they want to say. I remember that the education minister before the exams had said that Even though you're telling us that everything is fine, we still want you to investigate these allegations. But it looks like that's the farthest the minister can bite when it comes to WAEC.
I stand to be corrected, but WAEC appears to be quite autonomous. The GES and Minister of Education, for that matter, are stakeholders, but of course cannot meddle into the affairs of WAEC. That's a fact.
But we invest. They may have, do we not give them some budgetary
allocation? But like I said, there's some level of autonomy given to them. So there's how far the Minister of Education and GES can go, so that at the end of the day, they will not be seen to be compromising or to be, to be accused of trying to compromise the stance
of
WAEC.
For how long? Because the future of these children are at stake. So that children who genuinely studied were probably ready for the exams, and now they have to face the wrath of cancellation.
That is
and it
why,
affects everyone, even if they are not guilty.
Bella, you are right, but that is why all stakeholders in West Africa, all member countries, okay, must sit. You have representatives. Draw up a criteria, which already they have. But of course, to nip this untoward behavior in the bud is what I'm talking about. Sit down, come out with the criteria. From setting of questions, to printing of questions, to transporting same to exam hall, what are the procedures? How well can we keep and maintain the integrity of such papers before they get to the exam hall? These things must be well addressed. But see, the
CSOs addressed it, and
sadly,
they were threatened with lawsuits.
Sadly, we are out there, fix the country, fix whatever. These are matters we need to fix. Corruption and corrupt nature of ourselves, human beings. All of us.
No, but if you have Africa Education
Somebody is out there leaking these papers. And I'm saying that, that's why I'm saying that there is an unscrupulous person who is within there, maybe use the usage of smartphone now. It's easier. I take a picture, send it out there to someone because I want my child to pass. Or I want somebody who I feel is my, if you like, a better person to me, pass. Then the person passes, so and on and on and on. That's what happens when smartphone age comes as well. But I'm saying the integrity of the people working there must be top notch. There must be people we have respect for. There must be people we can trust, who of course will be in that chain. Otherwise, we'll continue visiting this.
But finally to you, so Africa Education Watch last year released a report. So in fact, it was sometime this year after the 2020 WASI. They even added some 11-point recommendations on how we can ensure that there will not be, leakages of papers and all of that. And yet they were threatened by WAEC with a lawsuit. And these are the same issues that they raised, the concerns of human, involvement in the transportation of even these papers to the examination centers and stuff. And they said, as much as possible, let us reduce that. WAEC still came out and said that the reports that they put out did not paint a clear picture of exactly what was happening. And so they threatened them with a lawsuit. How do we move forward if people are recommending solutions to the problem, and yet
Bella,
a year later we come back to the same problems because WAEC has refused to accept some of these recommendations?
Bella, if you are not well, you are sick, and they tell you are not well, we have medicine for you or an antidote to your problem, then you claim no, you indeed appears very well and that you are not sick. That is what will happen to us. So WAEC shouldn't take positions that would not help all of us. These are suggestions coming out. Reports have come out indicating that XYZ has been happening. Our investigation or our research into this matter reveals that these are some of the measures you need to put in place. You say no, it amounts to defaming the institution. Therefore, we may sue or go along with you. But that's why I said that, look, member countries, they are ministers of education, and I believe that Ghana is part. Nigeria and some other countries are part.
As well.
What do you have to do? Minister of Education must come out with a particular blueprint. Maybe for Ghana, maybe for Sierra Leone, maybe for Nigeria. Let's all sit down without even WAEC first. Agree. Having agreed, CSOs are there. Let's get them on board. We discuss it. Such reports have come out. Engage WAEC now. We are those who are engaging you. We pay, okay, for our kids to actually be examined. Point we want to make is that this has been happening. The credibility of the future of the certificates, the certificates of our kids is in question. Therefore, we need to sit down and address this matter. I believe when there's an approach like this, okay, and they get to a level where they all agree that there's a communique that has been signed and there has been an agreement reached, I think going forward we'll be able to do. But to allow, WAEC to have a field day, do whatever they want to do. We will continue visiting this.
Elikem, let me bring you in because as part of the recommendations that Africa Education Watch made, it asks that government regulates WAEC. In fact, it says that the MOE must set up a regulator of assessments like OFQUAL in the UK, and they should provide quality assurance and all of that, which is why I was asking about government's intervention in all of this, because it looks as if we've been waiting and waiting, and every year the same mistakes are repeated. And MOE will say that, well, WAEC is semi-autonomous, and so we cannot necessarily get involved in their dealings. But these are children's lives and futures at stake. Should we not do a little more than just talking?
Yeah, Bella, good morning once again. And permit me to say good morning to my brother all the way in Tamale, Rashid Akugre, and wish one Freddie Dugbe a happy birthday. With reference to this matter surrounding WAEC, I will first say that WAEC has actually exhausted its usefulness in our examination body as a country.
Why do you say so?
The globe over, countries are now trying their own way to institute their own examining body in order to ensure that they hold grip of the examinations. Unfortunately, you and I will again agree that owing to the heightened level of corruption, it will seem an impossibility in Ghana currently. If you look at our education sector itself, till date we are still practicing this standardized Western education, which is not helping us because there's need for us to now customize our education. And that is why a nation would need to have its own examining body. Because the Western culture or the colonial master taught us that this is what we must learn, and which is why most people will say, I finished school, I don't even know what I learned and what the experience I gathered. Recently, there was some youth employment fair, and you saw the chaotic situation over there. And so, yes, the concerns being raised there are genuine. But the fact is that WAEC not accepting that there's a leakage or that they are inefficient, it's one major problem we need to address. Because you cannot, you see, there's only one body that sets the questions, and it's you. So you cannot come and be blaming the innocent student or myself, the parent, or whoever. And you see, like Kamal said, somebody in a school, in a private school, maybe GIS, another person in a school at Teobodom or at Agbozuma, where I had my primary school, are all going to be sitting for the same exams. Now, a student who prepared very well sat for these exams. Then all of a sudden, due to the negligence of you, the examiner, and for which nobody is ever held culpable for these acts. Mind you, whenever there's any such leakages, it means that money has exchanged hands. Somebody has benefited from that system.
Yeah, we're told that papers have been sold for like 30 to 100
and I don't know why WAEC thinks that till date, maybe Ghanaians, or we keep rinsing our face upwards, because we know for a fact that they have been selling these papers.
Yeah, they do.
WAEC sells these papers?
They do. I mean, what is the purpose for? What is the purpose for the leak? How did it leak? So
no, but if you say WAEC, you make it look like the institution is willingly
selling. It doesn't need to be the institution.
Maybe there's someone in there who might be
the person there represents WAEC.
Yes.
The person there is clothed in WAEC.
Yeah, so we don't say WAEC is selling the papers.
They need to fight for their image strongly, and we need to put it to them this way, so they know that we are blaming them as an entity for this. You see, whenever you're going after some of the individuals, you don't even know who to go after. We must go after the institution itself. Let them know that their credibility is in tatters. I am very highly disappointed in these things becoming an annual ritual where every year we should expect that. To be frank with you, I think 4 or 5 days ago, if I'm not mistaken, somebody reached out, or a week ago, somebody reached out to me that the papers have leaked, and he was sharing with me. And I didn't pay attention to it until yesterday in the news. I was like, oh, so it's true. Because I try not to pay attention. I am someone who believes that when it comes to examinations, even if you're my best friend sitting by me, I'm sorry, you cannot draw my attention. You call me and I will not. I can help you when we're in classroom, but when it's time for examinations, my focus is what I need to do. And I believe that, I think many have told the Ashesi story, where there are even no invigilators, yet they compel themselves and do that. So what is wrong with us? And that is why I'm telling you, WAEC has exhausted its usefulness. But for corruption and the nature of Ghanaian, especially now, I would advocate that let us begin the process of looking at setting up our own examining body so that we do our work.
Rather?
But yes.
Because the Minister, Honorable Yao Chum, says that we are looking at introducing technology into the examination process. And so before that, there will be serialization where we'll have 10 different papers. And so if you think that each paper is going to start with question 1, write A, question 2, we're going to mix it up. And it will go to the various schools. So you might think that you have the same thing, but it will not be the same.
When a paper leaks, whether question 1 is still question 1 or now question 2, it leaked and the student has revised it.
So serialization will not fix the problem?
Even though they may have some justification that it will, but it will not be able to cure it entirely.
Okay.
We must begin to realize that, look, the failure on that side, and you see, that is why it is also worrying, like you posed to my brother. We are also creating a certain atmosphere, giving an impression to the kids that they must pass the exams at all costs, and we can aid them. That was why you brought the question of government procuring some past questions.
Yeah.
It gives a certain impression on a narrative that, okay, even if I'm not well prepared, my government of the day may support. We shouldn't give that atmosphere of thinking to them. In fact, permit me, sorry, to say this on air. My ward came to home yesterday and was given a question that write a creative and argumentative essay, an essay on education has caused more harm than good. I had to write a letter to the teacher today that I'm sorry.
Why?
How can you say that education has caused more harm than good?
But
To a pupil who is in who is in grade 4.
Okay.
If you're at tertiary level, you know it's an academic thing where it's a debate. Even if it was a debate, fine. But when you are already making the child at that young age want to suggest reasons why education is doing harm than good, I am sorry, I don't think it is doing anything that good to the kid at that level. If it was a higher level, fine. Because for now, like it or not, up to even the junior high school or the senior high, we must make them believe that education is everything. We must make them believe strongly in that.
But isn't that also a problem? Because again, we've been told that education is not everything.
Yes, you see, you need some, without denigrating, but let me use subtly the example of our brother Odate Lamte.
Yeah.
He has publicly said, that's why I have to use that. He has publicly said he regretted not having education and how he was signing contracts and as a result, he was selling himself out and all that. So even if you want to be a kayaye, being educated to some appreciable level is still in your own interest. And so we must not make people think that you should just write exams, pass, and then forget, which is one of the reasons why if you're not careful, already, the way our education sector is now looking, the certifications we are even churning out from our tertiary institutions may become questionable because from even the senior high schools, you saw how things are going.
Yeah.
Very soon, if you go to other countries, some of our neighboring countries, their certificates are becoming worthless, which is why they will even send their students, most parents send their wards to Ghana to come and have education. So you go to other countries, and if we are not careful and this trend continues, it means that Ghana's education quality, the certification, will now become dented and questionable. Wherever you go.
How about we break the monopoly of WAEC and introduce other examining bodies?
I think that's the point.
So government can start the process by saying we also want to now start our examining body vis-a-vis that of WAEC. Okay. So if it becomes very credible and we see that there isn't corruption where the big men can easily pay for the paper and their awards get, then everybody knows that. So the process, and you see, I keep saying that as youth or as young men, I have always said that I don't want to live and die without seeing Ghana progress. Stories we are saying should not be after we are dead and gone. It should happen in our lifetime so that we know that we are change agents who actually fought for that change. And we must see these things happen in our lives. If not, the trajectory on which we are is very deadly and dangerous. And we must take a critical look at that, Bella.
And we're hoping that people will be arrested and prosecuted for this. I mean, a report was made by Africa Education Watch to the police CID on the leakage of exam papers. We still have not heard if anybody has been picked up. Meanwhile, we're told that where they keep the papers is only one person who has the key. Only one person.
Bella, who will be arrested?
Yeah.
No, but then that's the problem. Because if you're not prosecuting people, then where are we going with this?
It's really a sad situation. Very sad.
You see, that is why WAEC thinks, I'm sorry, is taking us for fools. So they know, I said this before. It's becoming a ritual in Ghana. Everything happens, a very foolish case. After a while, another matter would happen, and then I can cite for you. Some time ago, we were talking about Sputnik V and the minister and what have you. Today, we are no longer talking about Sputnik V. As to whether he will be sanctioned when Parliament comes back or not, that's another matter. We are talking of an issue today. Tomorrow, we will be talking about the meeting in Ghana today about
okay,
Guinea,
ECOWAS meeting,
the ECOWAS meeting. And so we must deliberately take up issues that are of great concern to us and see some through. And I think this is even an appeal to the media to take some of these issues to its logical conclusion, even if there's another new matter. Look, let one journalist or let it be assigned someone, look, let's see this thing through so that it is known that TV3 or Media General or A or B follow this through to the end and expose the rot in the system.
All right, now we'll move on to another conversation because at the moment, Ghana is not exporting any farm produce to neighboring countries unless you have a permit from the Minister of Agric. And this was a directive that was given by the Agric Ministry. A number of people have raised concerns, especially stakeholders within that industry. And they're saying that this could lead to a retaliation from our neighboring countries because we also depend on them for other farm produce. And so if we decide not to export, what happens to the other produce that we also depend on? Take a look at this story quickly.
That there's no food crisis. So why then the ban? It is an admission of the fact of what all along we've been saying, that there's no food available. You know, they have to also be very careful because they can spark a trade war. If it is for 2 months, tell us. If it is for up to the end of the year, tell us.
Okay.
When you don't know the limits of a policy, then it allows them to come and say something again.
That's Mr. Edmond Kariwe. He's the General Secretary of the Agric Workers Union, and those were his concerns. We also heard from the Exporters Union and a number of other people who are saying that we're not happy with this directive. Are we facing, food crisis, or is it just shortage of food? The minister says that it's just shortage. You remember that former President John Dramani Mahama had mentioned that we were getting into food shortage crisis. And the Agric Minister came out and said those claims by the former president were unfounded. And now here we are banning the export of food produce so that we can store up enough to avert any form of shortage.
Yes. Now, two definitions. Which one is food crisis and which one is food shortage? Now, to be safe, let us hinge on the food shortage matter. Clearly speaking, when we say this, people say don't mention it. We are not in normal times. Much more reason why I'm in my mask. Okay? And we all know what COVID has done to countries globally, including Ghana. Affected production of fertilizers, production of other, if you like, inputs meant for agriculture. It's clear. Now again, countries like Nigeria, I am aware that within the sub-region, Ghanaians have had to export maize, okay? And sometimes even our locally produced rice. You know, in Nigeria, they have a policy in place. You don't import or you don't bring in polished rice from anywhere. It's not accepted. Locally produced rice is what Nigerians consume. With all the numbers they have in population, we are here trying to enjoy perfume rice, left, right, center. I recall I went to a particular, when I was coming from North yesterday, I even bought a bag from Nasia. I bought the local rice. And I brought some to a friend, and my friend told me that, no, my wife doesn't like this. My wife likes the polished rice. I said, really? That's fine. But see, the point I want to make is that we have been able to allow Ghanaians, or for that matter, other citizens of this, in the sub-region, come into our country, buy our cereals out. You know, the Boko Haram attack in the northern part of Nigeria caused a lot of, farmers not to go into production in Nigeria. And they had no option. I saw in Tumu in the Upper West region, where maize is actually, farmed, grown in bigger numbers. People coming to buy maize and export it to Nigeria and other countries in this. So I think the measures put in place right now by the Agric Ministry is, even though a bit late to me, but it's worth it.
It's late?
To me.
Why?
But we should have had it even before those exports were made, before we get to this level. Why do we have the warehouses there? Why do we have buffer stock there? We needed to store some of these things. Anticipate that, look, because of this COVID or because of these particular factors, maybe next year or next 2 years, we will have ourselves to blame in terms of not storing much food. We should have seen this. We should have been quite proactive on that.
The Deputy Minister said we let our guards down.
That's what I mean. That's why I said we should have been proactive. So maybe, even though late, but I think it's worth it. It's proper.
Okay.
So the fact that we have food shortage does not mean we are actually in food crisis. We can mitigate. We can come into some of these, we can come up with solutions, just as we have done now. You asked whether John Dramani Mahama was right when he said there was food shortage. Yes, sir, let me give that to him. Obviously, if the minister has come to say, yes, indeed, we are seeing food shortage now as a result of XYZ. Why not?
But the Agric minister said that claim was unfounded, which is why we're wondering now
initially
how we are now admitting that there is food shortage, which is why we're implementing the temporary ban on export. But when he spoke, we all said, I mean, the minister said that.
Bella, where we are now is that whatever we will have to do to ensure that there is food security for us as a country, we should do. Okay. And I think that the measure taken by the Agric Minister right now is excellent.
In January of this year, when the president gave the State of the Nation address, he said that planting for food and jobs had made us a net exporter of food. Yeah. And so he said, in fact, let me just read what he said. We've seen the dramatic turnaround of our agricultural fortunes due to the progressive policies that have improved the living standards of farmers in the country. The excellently executed policy for planting for food and jobs has laid the foundation for the agricultural transformation of our country. And we're able to say that our country is now a net exporter of food, and we no longer have to import basic foods like plantain and tomatoes. Even that, people had issues with it, because we remember when tomato importers complained about armed robbery attacks at the borders, and we're wondering how come we're still importing. But even now that we're being told that Planting for Food and Jobs did a great, job for us so that we can produce more food, now we're hitting food shortage. Did he not see this?
I don't know what you are seeking to establish. Are you seeking to say that what the president said was not true?
I'm asking you.
No, is that what you're seeking?
You're saying
is that a question?
No, but the president said that Planting for Food and Jobs made us a net exporter of food.
And I just want to be
But
clear.
Now we're hitting food shortage.
We're having a discussion. Of course,
and that's why I'm asking you.
When did the president say
in
this?
January this year.
Absolutely. Listen, I'm saying that we let our guards down, just as the minister put it. Exactly what the president said was the situation. We exported food, didn't we? So if the president said we're net exporters of food, was he wrong?
And how are we running into shortage now?
That is why I'm saying that we let our guards down. We should have been proactive. We should have known that, with the emergence of COVID, we never even knew that maybe COVID will take us this far. But the point is that with COVID and some other factors coming up, we had let our guard down by allowing food to be exported out of the country. Maybe we could have found a way of storing them. That is why we are where we are. So the president never lied to Ghanaians. The president said what the situation was. And that is true.
But he even said we're exporting tomatoes.
Even your own network. I sat here
and
I had a discussion. Tomatoes. It was myself and Dafiam Mekpo, my good brother, the lawyer. We sat here. And he even attributed it to some, rains that was better and all that. We saw you people were reporting this food glut. You said there was so much bumper harvest and all that. So the president is not wrong. The Planting for Food and Jobs indeed assisted us. But you see what we did, what did he know? That's why I gave you an example, that we had to export maize to Nigeria and other countries, and which was to our own detriment. Today, we have done that and we are in trouble. We feel that no, the little we have, let us not export it again. We can keep it. Of course, farming season, we are lucky. I sit here, I'm a farmer too, actually. You know?
Okay.
Yeah. Farming season, we are lucky. The maize is doing so well. Rains are doing so well. I just came from the north. Things are happening. So we think that, look, we should be proactive in terms of planning so that at the end of the day, whatever we harvest, if the buffer stock must be assisted to store it, that is why we built those warehouses all over. Ensure that the storage is done properly. Then we will not get to where we are.
But we should have been doing this already, because the president did say again that the reason why we did not face shortage during the COVID-19, the height of COVID-19, was because of these bold policies that were put in place. And so then how then do we get to a point where these same bold policies could not support us at this point?
The Planting for Food and Job policy is never a failure. That's one. And that is what I'm saying now. That's what the president was speaking to.
Okay.
However, what we did to ourselves was to have allowed the food that we got out of that, okay, to leave our shores.
Okay.
That is why we are in trouble now.
Elkem, please come in for me. What do you make of the concerns by the Agric Workers Union, the Exporters Union, that we're also going to face some form of retaliation from our neighboring countries if we refuse to export produce to them?
No, I disagree.
Yeah, Bella, I think I want to first and foremost say good morning to His Excellency former President John Dramani
you forgot to greet him.
No, I need to specially do that because of the
Why?
And also thank the Pro Forum and its president, Ambassador Sampiyale. You recall, I have always said that when President Mahama speaks, it takes the wise and the objective, who is very patriotic, to understand what he's saying. He doesn't do the usual propaganda that you expect or the mere lip service or rhetorics that others are known for.
Who are these others?
I mean the NPP, the lip service. When President Mahama made that speech and said, look, we should be bracing ourselves for all of this, what did they not come out with to say? They condemned him, said all manner of things, and even their General Secretary held a presser. In about a week, they held 3 pressers, and it was John Mahama, John Mahama, John Mahama. In less than 2 weeks or so, this is where we are, and we have been told this. Isn't it obvious that the sector minister is a square peg in a round hole? We shouldn't be mincing words. These are people who have been given roles to play. And we seem to have sunk more money there than the output that we are getting. What was the purpose of the warehouse? Was it one district, one warehouse, and all those things? The aim was to protect us during lean season. So if times like this, and we cannot even guarantee that, and the excuse will be that maybe we've been exporting maize to Nigeria, let us stop this fallacy. Ghana exporting maize to Nigeria when?
It's not true.
See,
you never knew that.
It's not
See,
true.
oh,
hold on. Whilst we are doing that,
look, it's not government saying this. I saw.
Have we not? How much are we still importing from Niger?
Don't say
and
what
Mali?
you don't know,
How much? You see, for instance, look, I also grew up in a farming community. I spent 13 years of my life growing up under a government project known as the IDA, Irrigation Development Authority, at a place called Avalavi, and it was purely almost 850 hectares of rice farming. And so I have lived my very formative years on the rice farm. What is stopping us from also going the Nigerian way? Well, we must make deliberate homegrown policy, to make sure that, look, there should be a ban on importation of some of these, like the rice.
Like rice. But the minister has already said it, that by 2023 we're going to stop importation.
But with what is happening now, if we do that, then the threat then the threat to our national security will be dire.
How so?
Because we don't even have enough to even eat now.
No, it's not true.
See, you see, we are here again talking about this. And my brother will say, no, we are not in crisis and all that. For your country to begin to tell you that there's a ban on any form of export of our grains should tell you they can foretell the danger ahead of us. And I'm re-emphasizing the very words of President Mahama at the time, that we are in that crisis. They should, you see, when you have outsiders critiquing you or trying to say, look, this is wrong, that is wrong, it is not to mean that they are naysayers. It is because we all belong to one Ghana. And we don't want to see those challenges. As COVID has now ravaged us, is it sparing anybody? No. So when we are making suggestions related to COVID, we expect that you take them in good faith. But when you begin to take it with a political spectacle, that, oh, these are my opposition, they will therefore gain political advantage or credit if I take in the submissions they are making, we will find ourselves in the abyss we currently are. And so the situation is troubling.
Well, at least the Agric Ministry has admitted that they let their guards down, which is why they've come in
I think
to
you,
proactively
the media,
fix this problem.
Yes, you in the media should also do Ghanaians a little favor. The Agric Minister has proven himself to be a square peg in a round hole. You've listened to some of his comments when on the fertilizers were on camels or what have you.
That didn't come from him, by the way. It didn't come from him.
Oh, no.
You see, those are all from his sector.
But that didn't come from him.
The buck stops at his door. All this is happening because of him. And so if we cannot fire him, then we should put him on his toes to know that, look, you are not putting out the efficiency that is expected from you. Because we can't say we have an agri sector where we are talking of planting for food and jobs and have invested or sunk so much there. And what we are seeing now is that we should brace ourselves. We should not do this, we should not do that. It is not happening. I am sure, like my brother said, he is definitely also worried. I'm always happy when I go to in fact, 2 weeks ago I was in Angola. I had to pass Avalavi just to buy the local rice. I'm happy always using that. A sister station at the time tried that, but I don't know what has happened to it again. So like I told you, we start so well and then we end poorly. We need to now begin that. But that is the reason why I would say that kudos to former President John Dramani Mahama. He said this, and like a soothsayer, he didn't need to even be a Jewish prophet or related to one.
Okay.
But he has made it clear to us. And that is what we are witnessing today. So Bella, now that we are saying it, now that the minister is admitting that, what are they saying to what President Mahama said? We are building a nation. That is what we must know at all times. So President Mahama has never meant ill in anything he says. He is only concerned about Ghana, especially because, don't forget, he speaks from the position of a very well-informed gentleman, as a former president and someone who is very well-informed.
But Honorable Yafrimpong, who's the Deputy Agric Minister, yesterday he explained the reasons why we've gotten to this point as well, aside saying that we let our guard down. He said it was because of COVID. And so there were struggles in producing and transporting fertilizer to the farmers, okay, and also the difficulty in paying the fertilizer suppliers. And so these are some of the reasons why we are experiencing food
I wish I could believe
And so
that.
Not necessarily because we did not put in place policies.
I wish I could believe that, and I know you may also not necessarily believe that.
You speak for yourself.
Yes. I mean, the same fertilizer that's been seen on donkeys and out is being supplied to the extent that we are even sending some out of the country, and there's still a short supply of it. They were smuggled. They were smuggled. How did they reach those ends? So in the first place, we had it all there in abundance, which is even why they are smuggling them. If it was in scarce supply, there couldn't have even been the urge to now even be smuggling it to that quantum. So you see, you how do the lawyers call it? Is it probate and some? They use something.
Probate
and reprobate. So they are doing. They shoot themselves in the foot when they say one thing and say another. So the excuse is being given, and you see, it is becoming such a joke. It's as if the circus is starting so early, and we need to take our seats.
How?
Look, everything now, government will always say, COVID, because of COVID. The same COVID is what has made you a beneficiary of funds from various institutions in great quantum that we expect you to make great utility of. So you can't continue blaming COVID for any mishap, any inefficiency, yet accepting all the goodies, and then, let's just stop this excuse of...
If we cannot get in contact with the suppliers of the fertilizer because of COVID and the shutting of the borders, then that clearly is going to affect our production. In fact, hold on, let me just read this. So the minister had indicated that there was going to be a drop in maize production by 213,000 metric tons this year due to the shortage of fertilizer supply. And so it means that they were alerting us ahead of time that there was likely to be some form of shortage because of the lack of fertilizer.
Do you know, I would stress again here that the minister has proven further to be a square peg in a round hole. Now, if you are a sector minister and very aware that these are the shortfalls ahead of you, what alternative measures have you put in place, or did you put in place having arrived at this place? So you didn't just see it yesterday, for which you gave us that release. You saw it days, weeks, months ago. And so there are alternatives. In fact, we even have cattle ranches all over. What have you used? Have you tried to use cow dungs to see? Look, what are the? I'm sure that there are even some. There's even a factory that falls under one district, one factory, where they are talking about manufacturing fertilizers also. I may be wrong. I don't know if there's any of those one district, one factories doing so. So what exactly is that? So if we will only be blaming it on COVID, that supply is not getting it, what measures did we put in place? Because if not, then it means as a manager, you failed to act, but only waited for the problem. Then you say, let me issue a release that this is what we are confronted with today. And so there has not been any measure. Absolutely none. And that is very worrying. We can't have managers paying lip service to issues of this nature.
So that's the question that we'll ask you. I mean, the minister did indicate that there were some more warehouses that were being put up to store up this food. But what exactly was done to avert it?
My good friend Eleklem will embark on do or die in anything he says and everything he does. No wonder students want to pass exam, do or die. You know, the point I want to make here is that your man sits here and contradicts himself.
How?
In one vein, advice coming from them regarding COVID and how COVID is ravaging us sometimes falls on deaf ears, according to him, that we do not listen and do not act instead, in the way or manner they have advised. Then the next moment, he tells us again that why do we blame everything on COVID? The person who finds it expedient to advise you, to give you direction as to how to go because of COVID ravaging us, The same person says, don't blame situations on COVID.
You're not taking advice.
No, with all respect, please. You see, I want to tell Ghanaians how they contradict themselves. When they speak, they don't listen to themselves. The great minister has been truthful, or the deputy great minister has been truthful. He says, look, yes, let us admit, there's some seeming food shortage out there. However, we must mitigate that by ensuring that we put measures in place so that we will not be endangered as a people getting to a level of food crisis. Reason why there should be a ban. And I sit here to say that I myself witnessed the exportation of maize from Tumu all the way to Nigeria, which I felt was bad. Again, I mentioned here that we had let our guard down because we didn't become, or we didn't appear proactive. We should have seen that and ensure that buffer stock does a great job to store some of this food for us, which we didn't do. Nonetheless, better late than never. We have put measures in place. Then you sit down to say, why should the man be left there? He's a square peg, or is a whatever in a round hole, or whatever you want to mention. If you go that way, it is not proper for all of us. Where we are today, President Mahama has spoken, he's saying it. The great minister himself comes to say that, look, indeed, what we are seeing is what it is. Let's move on. We're building a nation. You touch yourself as nation builders. Let's move on. If your laudable idea is something to go by, then we are putting together our measures in place to ensure that Ghana goes in the best direction.
But how do you put it together? I mean, when the former president spoke, again, the minister came back and said they were unfounded claims. So how would you even consider recommendations?
For example, Bella, maybe I read this yesterday and I was not properly, maybe properly informed. The next moment, won't I
But if you are the leader of the sector, you cannot give that excuse that you were not properly informed.
That be the case.
Especially when you are told us on the 3rd of September as well.
There are times all reports don't get your table yet.
Okay. So acknowledge what President Mahama said.
It's a chain. I sat here and I said, look, if President Mahama said, and even President Mahama, when he was speaking, he made reference to his brother who is a farmer, and said that, look, he has had some reports from his brother who was a farmer, who said that blah, 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 blah happened. With him, he thinks that, look, food shortage is looming. Okay? Yes, indeed. The great minister comes, or deputy great minister comes today to corroborate it and say, look, food shortage is looming. As a result, let us all ensure that we mitigate our bandits.
Let me get something right.
But
was it the...
When did former President Mahama make this statement? This was in September.
Yes.
Yeah, this was in
Because the
September.
response from the agri minister came on the 9th of September.
Yes. That was just 2 weeks ago, Monday.
Exactly.
That's why I said that, look, it could be.
And you see...
that reports have not gotten to his table yet.
But the minister had already spoken that we're going to encounter a loss in the production of some of the metric tons of products.
I'm not taking that away at all. Bella, I'm
so
not taking that away from him.
he knew that we were getting to that point.
I am saying that, look, today I may say one thing, and the next moment reality dawns on me. Maybe reports come.
So you must apologize for misleading Ghanaians on that side.
That is why I accepted here. I accepted.
Oh, so you're doing that on his behalf.
We're building a nation. And once we're building a nation, if yesterday this was said, and I didn't see it well, and I got the report today, nothing stops you from doing the right thing.
Okay.
So there's nothing wrong.
With you, at a point I was going to commend him that for once, I think my brother has been very truthful. For once, he's been very truthful.
I've always been truthful.
At the point when he
I've always been
but
truthful.
I think it is also because...
Ghana first.
It is also because of the conduct of the sector minister has been very abysmal. And therefore, I'm sure nobody in Kamal's shoes would want to defend such, because in less than 2 weeks was when they came out. So I think there are two people communicating even now. I'm sure the minister himself was the one who responded to President Mahama at the time. But today you would actually have the deputy responding. Is that not right? So he hasn't got the nerves to, the fortitude to now withstand any statement to tell you and I that, look, I know President Mahama said this a week or two ago, and this is what I'm saying. That is very bad. And we should learn lessons from this, that governance is not mere rhetoric. Governance is not PR. Governance is not lip service. Governance is proving your efficiency and making the people see or feel it.
Like we have done.
You see.
Like we have done.
Leave it for the people to say.
You
see, that is the problem with you.
You would agree with me.
You are in the habit of always praising.
The agri sector is far better than yours.
One person at a time.
You see, you enjoy the business of praising yourself, or having done this, having done that, we have done this. You recall when the president in his fellow Ghanaians address said that data available to him was that 85% of Ghanaians were wearing masks. Where did he get that from? It is the same reason why the president issued a statement as ECOWAS chair and told the whole world that, who briefs him, that there was an attempted coup in Guinea. when there was a successful coup in Guinea. So when even the ECOWAS chair is that misinformed, it is an embarrassment. That is why I told you, look, what is going to happen today is just another tea drinking exercise where people will be paid allowances, etc., and they'll go back to their countries. And it's very sorry. So we must stop this governance of rhetoric, of just thinking that we are good at PR and we can embellish matters very well, talk it so well, and come. You see, it is not helping us. It is the reason we find ourselves in all the quagmire we are today.
All right.
And so if you begin to accept these things, don't take President Mohammed's criticisms or pronunciations as a jab. Take it as constructive criticism from someone who has been there before and who knows exactly what it is.
I see. By the way, I just want to find out from you, Kamal, that now we're told that there will be retaliation. That'll be my final question to you. Should we be concerned about that? Because the Greek Workers Union are saying that if you take this route, we would suffer in the end because we import tomatoes, we import soybean, and a number of other produce as well.
Excellent. That is why this matter or this stance by the stakeholders in there comes to defeat what Elikem said when he said we never exported.
Sorry, it's Elikem.
Elikem.
Yes. Comes to defeat what he said earlier when he said we never even exported anything out of Ghana. What they are telling
No,
you
he didn't say that. We never
he
exported
said
any.
no.
He said
No,
maize.
no,
He said maize to Nigeria. No, but he said maize to Nigeria.
You see how he polishes
the point is that the man says that he comes to defeat his stance.
So when you even say review, they say cancel.
The people within that chain comes to say, look, the fear of maybe other countries retaliating could also be there. So when you ban, be careful. Other countries could also say we also ban the importation or the exportation of certain products into your country as well. It's always happened. But see, the question of sovereignty comes in. And the question of maybe making sure that you protect what you have comes in. And each country has that right to do it. Like we gave example of Nigeria. Nigeria, for a very long time, never imports or accepts importation of rice
Buhari,
into their country. For a very long time. You understand? It is about sovereignty. It's about the sovereign nature of the state. So we also have our right to do it. My point here is that if this is the way to go, to ensure that we do not get food shortage or get to food crisis in our country, we must all second and support it. Then we can move on. I mean, this talk about retaliating and whatever doesn't arise at all. For me, we'd all have to pay heed to what has happened. Indeed, if maize is, you know what I'm telling you? The poultry farmers are struggling. Some of them don't have maize. You understand? We don't have to allow that out. So all these things must be looked at critically. But I think retaliation is not an issue.
Please land on this one.
Do you recall there was a time then candidate Akufo-Addo even went out telling the world that there's food shortage in Ghana because we couldn't get plantain when we were in
but that was true. We're importing plantain from Cote d'Ivoire.
That was true. You see, now, there are times when you naturally even experience them when they are within lean seasons, which we all know. But when you were making those comments, now you see what it is. So there has never been food shortage in Ghana under President Mahama. Currently, it is looking like there may be food shortage. And so there's need for you to do so to ensure our food security. It is good we all don't wish for that. So we wish you well and pray that you listen the next time President Mahama speaks.
Thank you. The lies, the deceit, and the false sloganeering will definitely come back to haunt us. I guess Ghana is the only country that experiences bumper harvest, thus having to export food yet. Tomatoes, etc. are still being imported. Food prices keep shooting up, and finally there's food shortage. Let's learn to be candid at all times and stop focusing on the next elections. Thank you so much, Nanaya, and for the other messages. Well, good morning. Final one. We need to be very careful with this ban on food exportation to neighboring countries. The truth is that in this trade between our neighbors, Ghana imports more food items than we export. See the number of trucks that bring in cattle, sheep, goats, onions, and tomatoes from Burkina, cooking oil and local rice from Benin and Togo. These goods come in every day. We send out only maize and paddy rice, which is milled in Togo and sold back to us from Isahaku in Tamale. That's about it. Thank you so much for your messages, and I apologize if we could not read all your messages this morning. Kamal Dean is the Deputy Director of Communications at the NPP, and also Elikem Kotoko is a member of the communications team of the NDC. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time.